Hello and welcome to Ani's Short Stories. I hope you enjoy this story. I'm going to try and upload a new story each day. The Ghost Ship of Ventnor. Holly Arnold's weekends were usually tranquil, spent walking the windswept beaches of the Isle of Wight. But that Saturday, as she strolled along Ventnor's shore, something was terribly amiss. A dense fog had rolled in, masking the sea with an eerie, impenetrable grey. The air smelled of salt and decay, and the crashing waves carried an unsettling sound like whispers. She tightened her coat against the chill and paused. Out of the mist emerged the silhouette of a ship. Its towering masts were splintered, and its sails hung in tattered shreds. The vessel looked ancient, like something out of a history book, its hull encrusted with barnacles and seaweed. It shouldn't have been there. No ship that size could approach these shallow waters without grounding itself. Yet it floated eerily close to shore. The townsfolk had gathered, murmuring and pointing, their faces pale with unease. Holly approached an older man she recognized as Mr. Caldwell, a local historian. "Well, what's going on?" Mr. Caldwell's voice trembled. "It's the Queen of Thorns. The ship vanished nearly 2 centuries ago, taking its crew to their watery graves." Holly frowned. "Cursed, aye. The captain defied the gods of the sea, plundering sacred artifacts from sunken temples. The crew met a gruesome end, and now—" Holly's skepticism wavered as she noticed unnatural movements aboard the ship. Shadowy figures paced the deck. They were translucent, their forms shimmering like heat haze. One figure, larger and more commanding than the rest, appeared to be the captain. His eyes glowed an unnatural green, and his skeletal hand gripped a tarnished cutlass. By nightfall, the fog thickened, enveloping the town. Holly, driven by equal parts curiosity and fear, decided to investigate further. Equipped with her flashlight and a notebook, she ventured toward the ship. It loomed ominously in the darkness, its aura almost palpable. "You shouldn't be here," a voice rasped. She turned to see a frail woman in tattered clothing standing nearby. Her eyes were clouded, and she clutched a string of weathered beads. Holly asked. "The warning. They'll take you." Before Holly could press further, the woman disappeared into the mist. Holly's heart raced, but she pushed onward. She found a rowboat tethered to the dock and, against her better judgment, climbed in and began rowing toward the ghostly ship. As she neared, an unnatural cold seeped into her bones. She climbed aboard, her footsteps echoing eerily on the wooden deck. The ship seemed frozen in time. Ropes hung slack, and crates were scattered haphazardly. She noticed carvings along the railings, symbols that seemed ancient and foreboding. Her flashlight flickered, and then she heard it, the faint melody of a sea shanty, sung by voices that didn't belong to the living. The crew appeared, surrounding her. Their faces were gaunt, their eyes void of life. The captain stepped forward, his spectral form towering over her. "Why have you come?" he demanded. Holly swallowed hard, her mind racing for a response. The captain's hollow laughter sent shivers down her spine. "Our story. We were betrayed by the sea and the greed of man. Now, will we take what we are owed?" Holly asked. "Your world thrives while ours was destroyed." Before Holly could react, spectral hands grabbed her, pulling her toward the ship's center. She was thrown into the brig, the door slamming shut behind her. Panic surged as the air grew colder, and the ship began to move though no wind filled its sails. Hours passed, or perhaps it was days. Time had no meaning aboard the Queen of Thorns. Holly's captors whispered incessantly, their voices a maddening chorus. She pieced together fragments of their tale. They had plundered sacred relics, angering forces beyond their understanding. Their punishment was eternal servitude to the cursed ship. Determined to escape, Holly studied the carvings she had seen earlier. She realized they weren't random decorations, but a form of binding magic. If she could disrupt the symbols, perhaps she could break the curse. When the crew was distracted, Holly managed to slip out of the brig and onto the deck. She used a shard of broken glass to scratch through the carvings, her heart pounding as the ship began to shudder violently. The captain appeared, his skeletal face contorted with rage. "What have you done?" "Set you free," Holly replied. The ship groaned as the fog lifted, revealing a brilliant dawn. The crew's forms dissolved into light, the anguished cries fading into the sea breeze. The ship itself began to disintegrate, its wood turning to ash. Holly barely made it back to shore, collapsing on the sand as the last remnants of the Queen of Thorns vanished beneath the waves. The town remained eerily silent, as if holding its breath. In the days that followed, Holly couldn't shake the experience. The whispers of the crew still haunted her dreams, and she often found herself drawn back to the beach, searching for signs of the ghost ship. One evening, as the sun set over the horizon, she noticed something glinting in the sand. It was a small, ornate medallion, one of the relics plundered by the Queen of Thorns. As she picked it up, a chill ran through her, and she swore she heard the faint echo of a sea shanty on the wind. The Queen of Thorns was gone, but its curse lingered, waiting for the next soul to uncover its dark secrets. Holly's unease deepened when strange occurrences began to plague Ventnor. The townsfolk reported hearing ghostly chants at night, and fishing boats returned empty, their nets mysteriously shredded. One by one, the people began avoiding the shore, but Holly couldn't stay away. Determined to understand the medallion's connection to the curse, she consulted Mr. Caldwell again. His face paled when he saw the artifact. But that should never have left the sea. It's a binding talisman. The spirits will never rest as long as it remains in our world, Holly asked. Mr. Caldwell hesitated. You'd have to take it back to the place where the Queen of Thorns met its end. That night, Holly prepared for her final confrontation. Armed with little more than her determination, she ventured to the beach. The fog was thicker than ever, and the medallion seemed to pulse with an unnatural energy. As she stepped into the rowboat, the wind carried the sound of the sea shanty louder and clearer than before. When she reached the spot where the Queen of Thorns had vanished, the sea churned violently. The ghostly ship reappeared, its spectral crew ready to defend their cursed existence. Holly gripped the medallion tightly and shouted above the chaos. "Ugh." The captain's glowing eyes locked onto her, and he raised his cutlass. Holly threw the medallion into the churning waters. A deafening roar filled the air as the sea consumed the artifact. The ship began to collapse inward, its crew's anguished cries echoing one last time. As the Queen of Thorns disintegrated, the fog lifted, revealing a calm, moonlit sea. Exhausted and shaken, Holly rowed back to shore. The curse was broken, but the cost of her bravery lingered in her mind. Ventnor slowly returned to normal as possible. Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed this story. Please don't forget to like, and even better, like and subscribe. Thank you very much, and I hope you have had a great day.